What is this nothing you talk about? What is this nothing you talk about?
With your permission, sir? Permit.
The whole notion of logic.
We have the evidence. No one can dispute the evidence. We heard the evidence. We saw the evidence.
Let's try and unpack that for a second. Let's try and de-emotionalize this for a second. Let's try and intellectualize this for a second. Let's try and rationalize this for a second.
Welcome to TR News. This is your home for transnational rationale. Join today's trek through the stars, illuminated from the proverbial oil of a blessed olive tree. This tree is neither from the Oriental nor the Occidental.
The whole notion of logic.
Truth guides its purveyors to the light, and truth, derived from reason, is omniscient. I'm your telepathic rhetorician, TR, and this is today's World News. Kosovo. Kosovo okays an EU deal, and the Prime Minister of Kosovo was on TRT 2 days ago. He had this to say about the peace deal.
Prior to me coming to power, to office as Prime Minister, there has been 1 decade of talks of dialogue between Kosovo and Serbia under the auspices of Brussels. There has been signed altogether 33 agreements, and one of them is this agreement of principles, where 6 points out of 15 are about what is now known as Association of Serb Majority Municipalities. On the other hand, all previous agreements are being referred in the last sentence of the last article of EU proposal that we are supposed to negotiate now with Belgrade. So Of course, I do not negate that there has been such agreement, but there should not be any cherry picking out of 33 agreements, the one that you like most. Neither to have an approach where you put the cart before the horse, because there are other articles prior to this last one.
But the US specifically is insisting on this one.
Yes, it is true. Belgrade is insisting, first of all.
Yes, of course.
And I have said that any kind of association of municipalities in Kosovo must be in full compliance with the constitution and law, but also we cannot have a one ethnic association, because that would be against the spirit and letter of our constitution. So mono-ethnic associations are not acceptable.
One ethnic association. One ethnic association. What does this mean? What does this mean? We can't have one ethnic association. So the conflict in Kosovo has led to certain municipalities who are Serbian wanting autonomy beyond what is happening in Serbia. So let's see how Kurti or what Kurti thinks should happen to those municipalities that want autonomy that are part of Kosovo.
In addition, I believe that if Serbia wants association of municipalities in Kosovo based on, let's say, ethnicity, they should first think to do it at home, because there are much more minorities in type and number in Serbia than in Kosovo. In Kosovo, we have 93% of the population Albanians, 4% Serbs, and 3% are Bosniaks, Turks, Ashkali, Egyptians, Roma, and Gorani. Whereas in Serbia, almost 20% are minorities. So if
yes,
they
but not
insist,
just,
they should try it at home first.
Yes, we know Serbia's position on this. This is one of the stepping stones for them, one of their main conditions. But also lately we are hearing from the US.
Let's try and de-emotionalize this for a second. Let's try and intellectualize this for a second. Let's try and rationalize this for a second.
Yes, let us try. This is the ratio. This is the ratioing. This is where ratioing happens. So let us try to unpack that, right? What does that mean? Does that mean that these municipalities, this is not their home? Yeah, this is his language. This is Kurti's language. But it's something that we should think about. Yeah, it's pertinent, right? I wanted you to see a portion of this article as well. This is from Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. The Serbian Prime Minister apologizes for official reference to Republic of Kosovo here. This is Ana Brnabic. Serbian Prime Minister Ana Brnabic publicly apologized on February 6 for the appearance on the official government website of the phrase Republic of Kosovo, saying it was the result of an unforgivable translation error. The question is, who is she apologizing to? Is she apologizing to her fellow Serbians? Is she apologizing to presumptively European constituents or people who are affiliated with European proclivities, we should say? I would presume so, because this article is from Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. That's RFERL.org, referral.org. Yeah, so she thought of it as an unforgivable translation error, unforgivable to, and I mean, if we're reading through this, you would presume that the Republic of Kosovo is derogatory either to Serbia or to Kosovo. I presume that it would be derogatory to Serbia And so the alternate name, I've heard Kem is an alternate name. So Serbia doesn't acknowledge the independence of its former province, and Banarbak's government, along with the populist President Alexander Vučić, who's waged a campaign aimed at persuading more than 100 countries to withdraw their official recognition. Yeah, and 5 of them have. We'll get to that in just a moment. I couldn't sleep last night, she says. And she goes on to say, official Serbian documents describe Kosovo as part of Serbia, right? Former Serbian foreign minister, the fact that they have to state that lets you know this is something that's in question. Former Serbian foreign minister Vuk Jeremic, probably Jeremic, who is in the opposition, shared a screenshot on January 5th of the original wording in English next to the Serbian language version referring to Kem, Kosovo, and Metohija. It is. So the English language, and this is a part of it that I highlighted here, I think is pertinent to this conversation and to the orientation of people who may be listening to this. The English language statement was subsequently amended to read Kosovo and Metohija, a term used by Belgrade in Serbia that evokes the Serbian Orthodox Church's historical presence. I mean, let's just say in the region. See, and so this person, when they were writing this, may have been a bit emotional, wherein there's a typo here. Also the editors. So the item in question relates to a February 2 special session of the Serbian National Assembly at which Vučić accused Kosovo's leadership and its Western allies of seeking to avoid the obligation to form the Community of Serb Municipalities, the ZSO, since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine began last year. Yeah, so with that, I think in a couple of articles we will talk about that ZSO, right? What those municipalities look like, and the Prime Minister of Kosovo did mention them. So yes, I think that's very important to understand. And so here we have an article by the AP. And the title of it is Kosovo submits formal request to join the EU and Serbia is angry. This is from December 15, 2022. And why is Serbia angry that the EU might accept Kosovo, right? And there are other countries along with Serbia. Kosovo's prime minister on Thursday formally tabled his country's application to be granted candidacy status for membership in the European Union, a first step in what looks set to be a very long path to eventual membership. And it is locked in a long-lasting dispute with another EU hopeful neighboring Serbia, which has already called on the bloc to cancel the accession process. Without sorting out their differences, full membership can hardly become reality for either country. And this is an important part of this issue as well. 5 EU countries, Spain, Romania, Slovakia, Greece, and Cyprus, have not recognized Kosovo as a nation at all for reasons that, in the case of some of the 5, include fear that recognition might encourage separatist drives in their own countries. Kosovo is a mainly ethnic Albanian territory that declared independence from Serbia in 2008. The Serbian government has refused to recognize Kosovo's statehood and still considers it part of Serbia, even though it has no formal control there. So there it is, it's like, how is it part of Kosovo? How is Kosovo part of Serbia? And at the same time, it has no power or no control within Serbia. It's nonsensical. All right, and lastly, here's an article from an Albanian news source, diversify the sources. So we thought about AP, there's been a European source, and here is an Albanian source. And remembering that 93% of Albanians, of Kosovars are Albanian. Kosovo Prime Minister sets conditions for establishment of Municipalities Association. The Prime Minister of Kosovo, Albin Kurti, has said that the establishment of the Association of Municipalities with a Serbian majority can be considered with several conditions, among others. It must be in accordance with the Constitution and the laws in force in the Republic of Kosovo. Another condition, according to him, is that the association cannot be mono-ethnic. It should change its name, and it cannot carry any public or executive power, and it should only serve the horizontal cooperation of the municipalities, according to the Constitution and the law on local self-government.
The whole notion of logic.
Yeah, absolutely logical, it seems. The Prime Minister of Kosovo made these statements during a session of the Parliament of Kosovo on February 2nd. The rights of national minorities in the relevant protection mechanism should strengthen the principle of reciprocity between the two states, as well as take into account European standards and models, said Kurti. The fourth condition, according to Kurti, is that before the establishment of the association, Serbia's illegal structures in the north are extinguished and all illegal weapons are handed over. And so there's this is a peace deal, and so I like the reference to de-arming. And the association is part of the final agreement and is implemented only after a mutual recognition, is the fifth condition, according to the Prime Minister of Kosovo. Enumerating the last condition, Kurti said that the Serbian President Alexander Vučić must withdraw the letters sent to the 5 EU member states and to others for not accepting Kosovo's application for EU membership. These 6 conditions that I said are political conditions and are based on the democratic, universal, and European aspect of governance and policy making, said Kurti. And so there we have it. There's specific conditions that Prime Minister Kurti is positing, and he has foregone having them be implemented before the peace treaty. So we shall see. And I'm not really sure if it'll happen, but we shall see if Kosovo is able to get a valid response from Serbia and from the broader community, world community, on these stipulations. Who knows, right? All right, let's get into some more world news here. Yeah, so this is a Turkish news site, and the headline for this article: Azerbaijan sues Armenia for destroying environment in Karabakh. It reads, Azerbaijan filed a lawsuit against Armenia under the scope of the Berne Convention over the country's extensive destruction of the environment and wildlife through its 3-decade occupation of the Karabakh region. The foreign minister said Baku has collected evidence of Yerevan's environmental destruction in Karabakh, internationally recognized as the territory of Azerbaijan, adding that severe harm was caused to the area's nature and biodiversity. Armenia's widespread deforestation, unsustainable logging, and pollution through significant construction and mining in areas that were protected nature reserves prior to occupation has put over 500 wildlife species at risk in Azerbaijan, the statement said. It added that there's visual evidence revealing the scale of deforestation in the region, including the destruction of habitats to build the Demirli 1 copper molybdenum mine, the Galacha hydropower plant in Lachin, and the Chardagli coal mine. Armenia's actions have also caused extraordinary levels of river pollution, the ministry claimed. In keeping with the United Nations Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, Azerbaijan calls on the international community to condemn Armenia's appalling destruction during the occupation of one of the world's most rich and biodiverse ecosystems. Within the framework of arbitration, Azerbaijan demands Armenia cease all ongoing violations of the Berne Convention and pay full reparation for its environmental destruction in the formerly occupied territories, read the statement. Relations between Armenia and Azerbaijan have been tense since 1991, when the Armenian military occupied Nagorno-Karabakh, a territory internationally recognized as part of Azerbaijan, and 7 adjacent regions. And in the fall of 2020, during 44 days of heavy fighting, Azerbaijan liberated a significant part of Karabakh, and a Russian-brokered peace agreement was subsequently signed. Tensions are said to have ignited again because of protests by Azerbaijani environmental activists on the Lachin road connecting Karabakh to Armenia. Yerevan has called on Russian peacekeepers deployed in the region to monitor the peace deal, while also claiming that the road's blocked by demonstrations, something Baku denies. Homes and forests were also set ablaze by illegally settled Armenians as they left for the Lachin region following Azerbaijan's victory. Despite successive warnings not to burn their homes or harm their environment, images have been circulated on social media showing some Armenians burning their houses and nearby forests. Footage showed Armenians setting fire to their homes in the city of Lachin and nearby villages of Zabu and Sus, along with, or it could be Sus, along with the surrounding forest land. So yeah, there we have it. And this article is in a lot of ways related to something we spoke about yesterday in episode 1 of TR News. There was an article from an Azerbaijani source that quoted part of the tripartite treaty here. And again, this is a statement by the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Prime Minister of the Republic of Armenia, and President of the Russian Federation. Particularly, there's a point 6 that says that the Republic of Azerbaijan shall guarantee the security of persons, vehicles, and cargo moving along the Lachin corridor in both directions. And it's not really clear where that's coming from. The only real presence there are the eco-activists, right? So the question is, what is the level of presence that Azerbaijan should have here at the Lachin corridor, right? Should they be protesting? Should they be, hopefully they would be following the stipulations, right? And again, those stipulations are: the Republic of Azerbaijan shall guarantee the security of persons, vehicles, and cargo moving along the Lachin corridor in both directions. Very powerful language, right? We think about, and these are Russian sent Red Cross, and these are military vehicles. You know, it's supposed to be used for civilians. Let's listen in.
hərəkət edir və burada aksiya iştirakçıları onların keçidi üçün
definitely says Russian army there, right? And maybe, the interviewee from the Sputnik show yesterday that, was unequivocal about whether or not the drones that were involved in the Iranian nuclear site attack were from Azerbaijan or not. The question is, did they come through the Lachin corridor, right? So Manila Chen really made a great point there. Now you can check episode 1 of that for more detail. And this is something I want to take a bit of time to listen to and unpack. This is Adnan Hussein of Re Azerbaijan. He's the founder of Re Azerbaijan, and he is also an eco-activist in Azerbaijan. So let's hear, his impression of the situation. Is this a reaction to the claim that Armenians are starving and feeling as if their supplies are lacking? As and maybe we can pull this up a little later. I've seen, there's a report of 40 something days in a row of these trucks that we just saw B-roll of coming through this corridor just over and over again, right? And these trucks don't, they don't look like food trucks. This could be, but this is, it clearly says Army on the side of it. This is one of the only trucks that I thought may have food supplies in them. Yeah, so this is a back and forth, Oh, Armenia claims that the corridor is closed, which on one side of it is an Azerbaijani province that is predominantly Armenian. Armenia claims that nothing can go through, and Azerbaijan claims that there are Armenians that are setting fire to parts of Azerbaijan, and Azerbaijan claims that there's illegal mining going on, and this is justification to protest. So, is this a psyops that is it manifests itself as something that is just a pushback to the psyops of Armenia? These are very these are not light questions. But let's listen to Adnan Hussein and his take on it.
The other side, why are you there?
Well, first of all, there is no starvation. There are no cases of someone dying from starvation. The road is not closed. We see on a daily basis tens of vehicles, both of the Russian peacekeeping forces and the International Red Cross Committee, moving freely in both directions. We see that the supplies, both food and medicine, are being delivered through the Lachin road to Karabakh.
Forgive me for 1 second. I'm sorry I'm interrupting. I understand you're at a linguistic disadvantage, and I'm trying not to interrupt your train of thought. But How do you know what is being transported? It's not like you or any Azerbaijani is looking inside those Russian peacekeepers' trucks. How do you know what is being transported? Whether it's food, whether it's medicine, how much of it? I mean, do they tell you?
Well, this is common sense because we see the trucks marked and we rely on them being used as per their marcation. When it comes to Red Cross Committee, we actually see what is being transported because their windows are see-through, and even on my Twitter, the videos of the Red Cross Committee vehicles that are passing, you can see that they are full with boxes of both medical and food supplies.
All right, so let's go back to, you said that the protest has been going on for about a month.
So, I mean, we can surmise from that one of the that the Red Cross trucks are probably legitimate, but the thing is the frequency of them, right, relative to the military trucks, and is it that they are, part of the cover for the military trucks? And I'd like to maybe, have someone compile some data on the types of trucks that come through there.
Let's go back to the origins of it. Why are you there? And what were you hoping to accomplish? What are the goals of the people? When do you think you will be able to go home and say, okay, what I wanted is done, is accomplished? Is it an open-ended protest? So let's start with the very basics.
Okay, well, the reason that I am personally here is I have a project called Azerbaijan, regarding Azerbaijan, which is promotion of Azerbaijan as a touristic destination for both local and foreign markets. And within the project, there is a big role of the ecology, because when we promote Azerbaijan as a tourist destination, we call upon our viewers to protect the environment, to take care of the ecology. So naturally, when I found out about this protest, I had to be here. And I just recently today, I posted a tweet on Twitter. I found a video on my phone that last year I was in Zangilan planting, there was this project of planting trees in Karabakh. And in that video, I said that exactly a year ago, I was planting a tree in Shusha, and now I'm planting a tree in Zangilan. So this is not me being involved in an environmental cause for the first time in my life, as many try to misinterpret and mislead from the Armenian side. So the reason I'm here and the reason this is happening is the illegal exploitation of the natural resources of Azerbaijan. And although many, especially the Armenian side, try to mislead others saying that this is only the financial and economical interest and the legality of exploitation has nothing to do with ecology, the fact of the matter is that it has to do a lot with the ecology, because illegal exploitation is done without respect to any standards, to any protocols, to any requirements. Just as a couple of examples, eco-friendly equipment is not being used because it's expensive. The wastes are not being utilized properly because utilizing it is also expensive. The site is not being given any break for the natural processes to rehabilitate the site. So all of this is done by the principle of to get as much as possible, as quickly as possible, because they know that their time is limited. So the reason that this is all happening is that we are, and when I say we, I mean participants of the protest supporting the ecological activists and ecologists themselves, specialists who wanted in the first place to hold the needed monitoring of the sites where the Russian peacekeeping forces are temporarily stationed. We are being refused of that. So our demand is to grant us that monitoring, for us to be able, for the ecologists and for the specialists, to be able to visit the site and to hold the needed monitoring to assess what has been done, what's the ecological damage that has been done to our ecology, so that we know exactly what we are dealing with, how to heal it, and how to move forward from there.
You know, the argument that I often hear from the other side, and the argument that I actually would also repeat, is that, let's say, what's going on in Karabakh is not the only site in Azerbaijan where the attention of the environmentalists, like yourself, and I'm seeing Amin Mamedov also on your Twitter, as someone who has spoken on this subject in Russian before a couple of weeks ago. My question is, this is probably not the only site where the environmental disaster is happening. I mean, it's happening very close to Baku, where I believe you live and where I used to live. There are lots and lots of brownfields, so-called, polluted areas, why would so much environmental, the attention of the environmentalists be focused on Karabakh right now? Because Armenians are saying that the environment is only a pretext, that Azerbaijan is doing something different, something far more sinister, far worse than what it says it's doing.
Well, if the question is regarding other problems that we have with the ecology in Azerbaijan, of course we do that. We do have them. And I'd say that we live in the 21st century. Today, the social media is a pretty powerful tool. And I've witnessed myself a number of cases where ecological matters, ecological problems regarding trees, regarding pollution, they were raised by the users, by the local community in social media, and they were dealt with. It was not like they were ignored. So ecological problems and actually addressing them, it's not something that is being done in Azerbaijan for the first time. Me personally, I remember sharing and supporting social media statuses and publications which called for illegal cut downs of trees in particular construction sites. And after a while, we did see the reaction from the parties that were in charge of that. We saw the reaction, and we've seen the positive effect of raising such concerns. So today, raising concerns, it's not all about only coming out and protesting. And regarding this situation, even before the 2020 Second Karabakh War, these concerns were spoken about. This is not something that Azerbaijan all of a sudden out of the blue decided to take care of. No, these were concerns that we had a long time ago. And even during the past 2 years after the signing of the trilateral agreement between Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Russia, these concerns were still articulated, but they were ignored. So this all ended up, this is not something just happens out of the blue. This is something that was building up to.
All right. My colleague, Onik James Krikorian, is asking this question. Actually, it's a comment, and I would like you to address this comment if you would like to. It strikes me that there are various reasons for Lachin, and one of the main possibilities appears to be the lack of progress in agreeing on the new routes from Azerbaijan to Nakhchivan. I would like you to, sort of address that. Is one related to the other? We have one road, extraterritorial road until now, where Azerbaijan doesn't really exert its control over what's going in or out. And we have a promise of another road similar to that, where the Russian FSB, the Russian Security Service, was supposed to check all the cargo and persons traveling, but that road did not materialize. So all in all, I'm just retelling this for those who live outside the area and don't know the details. So is one related to the other, Adnan? In your mind, in the mind of people who joined you in the protest, if there was a road through Zangezur, would the protest be happening today?
Well, this has nothing to do, in my personal opinion, has nothing to do with the protest that is going on right now. And I believe that even if that road did exist, it would not magically just take care of the environmental and ecological problem that we are trying to address right now. So I believe that this protest and the ecologists and the ecological activists, and in general, people who care about the environment like myself, would keep on raising this topic. To talk about the access to Nakhchivan, I'm not a politician, but as an Azerbaijani, as a citizen of Azerbaijan, I think it's more than fair to have access to Nakhchivan for Azerbaijanis. And besides being fair, and besides my opinion as a citizen, strictly from the economic point of view for the entire region, not only for Azerbaijan, but also for other countries of the region, this makes perfect sense.
All right. I would like to go back for a second, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to confuse you by jumping back and forth from topic to topic. But you said earlier that there are trucks that are going through ICRC, International Red Cross Committee, International Committee of the Red Cross, and the Russian peacekeeping force. They're going through and they're carrying medicines, as you said, and food. And I've seen some videos on, I believe, on your timeline on Twitter, and also some other Azerbaijanis are sharing those videos, and I see them a lot, with trucks going through and protesters moving to the side of the road. My question is, if the trucks are allowed to go through, why are you standing on that road? I mean, what are you not allowing to go through? It's not like you can. Are ethnic Armenians allowed to go through? Are foreign citizens coming in and out are allowed to go through? Would foreign journalists be allowed to go through? In other words, who or what are you preventing from going in either direction?
Well, first of all, foreign citizens and foreign journalists are here right now, and foreign citizens to come to Azerbaijan, and Karabakh is Azerbaijan, they need permission. They need from Azerbaijan to be able to enter Karabakh. And regarding where the protest is taking place, and your question about when the protesters are moving aside from the road, well, the protest is happening on the road. And this is just natural for people to stand there because that is the site, that is the place for the protest. So when a vehicle is approaching, it's not going to be driving over the protesters. The protesters are moving away when they see a vehicle approaching, and then they come back to the site where the protest is taking place.
We have the evidence. No one can dispute the evidence. We heard the evidence. We saw the evidence.
Yeah, we see it, right? We see what's happening. And again, we see what's happening, right? And I'm going to be honest. The reason that this is, I'm always honest, but the reason that this is something that really caught my eye was because, I mean, and you can see it with Hussein, with Adnan Hussein. This is not his priority. His priority is not eco-activism. You know, I know eco-activists. He's not an eco-activist in that sense, but I'm sure he is a Republican, right? And for the language, to say the Republic of Azerbaijan shall guarantee the security of persons, vehicles, and cargo moving along the Lachin corridor in both directions. This idea of the Republic of Azerbaijan guaranteeing this, and then this unspecific word of security, right? It's very interesting, right? Very, very interesting that a person like this is spearheading such a campaign. A little bit of cult of personality there.
Many Armenians on Twitter and on other social media, and frankly, the Armenian diaspora here in the United States, are seeing the main goal of the protest as to either threaten Armenians, intimidate Armenians, or drive them out altogether from Karabakh. This is a foregone conclusion. This is something that is being said as a matter of fact, something axiomatic and doesn't even require any introspection. And I'm telling you about what's going on here in America. I mean, maybe the situation is different elsewhere, but from what I read on Twitter, these are the same arguments that are being made in France and other European nations, etc., etc. So my question to you is, do you want to drive Armenians out of Azerbaijan, of Karabakh? What will happen to these people? Do you understand that people living in Karabakh, Armenians, ethnic Armenians, are afraid? This is the only road that connects them to Armenia and the outside world, basically. And maybe your actions and actions of your colleagues are intimidating them or scaring them or making them think that you have hostile intentions. Is that the sentiment you understand?
The whole notion
I
of
do understand.
logic.
I do understand that. But at the same time, they have to start to understand that the actions have consequences. And when the road that they had for over 2 years, and no Azerbaijani was standing here, no other protests were going on, but this road was misused. This road was misused for the export of the illegally exploited natural resources of Azerbaijan. This road was misused for illegal activity on this road for both export and import. So, and warnings were issued. We've seen those warnings. We've talked about those warnings. The government of Azerbaijan did talk about the misuse of the road. So that being ignored for over 2 years, and then all of a sudden saying that they are here to do something bad to us. And again, I think that's a bit unfair, and maybe it would be best for them to start thinking about, okay, but what have we done for this to happen? Why don't we try to, if they think that this is a game, why don't they, just for the sake of it, think of, okay, let's play their game. Let's play fair and see what happens. Let's not do any illegal activity. If they talk about peace, if they say that we are their citizens and they will take care of us, let us let them do that. Why don't they try that and see for themselves what the results are? Because right now we have reasons and we have the right to rightfully take care of our own security and our own sovereignty. That's it.
You know, I cannot help but notice you are appealing to the Azerbaijani government's position. So let me start out by asking you this.
Yeah, this is a great, I think that, and this person, Straight Talk is the name of the show. Duzdanisak is the name of the YouTube channel. And it's legitimate. You know, the question that he asks here is legitimate because you have to wonder.
To what extent is the government of Azerbaijan implicitly, directly or indirectly?
Yeah, are you the feds, bro? Like, and essentially, you know, he's talking about his rights. He's in a sense, he's embodying, you know, this treaty, this tripartite treaty. Is this correct?
Agreed, or maybe precipitated, or maybe provoked, or maybe even asked you to protest there. To what extent does the government's, let's say, desire to see you there influence you and your colleagues being there? Because let's be honest, I mean, I can't remember a protest in Azerbaijan, and I'm 50, that lasted for 30 days when the government of Azerbaijan did not want it to proceed. That would be very, very tough to convince even me that you're there against the wishes of the Azerbaijani government.
Okay, I can answer for myself because I'm here alone. I'm not here with a group of people. I was not called here by the government. I have not been contacted by the government regarding me being here. I've been giving interviews to foreign media. I've been, you've seen my Twitter. I've been posting tweets, videos, and information from the ground on a daily basis that I've been here. And I haven't been contacted by the government. So I do receive a lot of comments, especially from the Armenian side, that I am funded and invited journalists by the government to be here, to participate in this protest, which is not. I'm not a journalist. Again, I have a project which keeps the ecological and the environmental issues very prioritized. I have my personal position regarding both the environment of my country and the security of my country, because security of my country, security of my family. I'm here to provide security for my family in the first place, for my child in the first place. And again, my personal experience of being here, I have not been contacted or in any way felt the government presence in my experience here.
Okay, but from what I understand, if I fly from the United States and come to Baku, and if I'm not detained at the airport and want to come and join you in Shusha, my friend Adnan Hussein that I met today, and wanted to come join you, I will not be allowed because I have to have a special permission, right? I mean, to go all the way to Shusha, or are all citizens allowed to go to Shusha and come within like 2 meters of the Russian peacekeepers?
The situation, that's a very valid question, and I'll happily answer. The situation about visiting not only Shusha, but the entire parts of Azerbaijan that were deoccupied in 2020, the reason as to why there is control over that is for security of the people, because these territories are very heavily mined. And I remember coming here first time, I had to go through Anama.
Yeah, again, going back to that language, right? That the Republic will provide the security. Yeah. And at this day and age, right? Especially when you think about Azerbaijan in reference to Iran and how the leaders of Iran are Azeri, right? What is this political orientation of the Azeris in relation to Iran? How does it parallel other political orientations and sects of people within countries?
Training. And
that is the anti-landmine agency, right? The Azerbaijani state anti-landmine agency. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. There was this project again in Shusha regarding planting trees in Karabakh, and I really wanted to join. And for me to be able to join, I had to go through the Anama training regarding how to behave in a heavily mined territory. We had to only follow the Anama people. We had to know how to read the signs that Anama is placing in the territories that they have checked for landmines. I've even posted a picture on my Twitter, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, a sign on the house in Shusha that it was checked and there are no mines. So this is the real threat. These are real dangers of visiting Karabakh. And since I've been through that training, and since I already had the permit to come to this area, I did.
Okay. My colleague again, Onik James Krikorin, is asking a very valid question. I would like to read it to you. Why couldn't protesters just stand on the side of the road? This goes basically hand in hand with what I was trying to get at. You standing on the road. This would be a clear and very visible signal that the road is open. Currently, it looks like it's a form of control. So yeah, truly, why wouldn't you stand to the side? I mean, you would make yourselves visible. You would at the same time send a signal that the line of communication is unimpeded. The infrastructure is unimpeded. The road is unimpeded. Why would you choose to stand, take a stance that shows that you're blocking the road? Because this is what's being used.
Because the road actually is being controlled by us. Because what we are saying is we want to stop the misuse. We want to stop the illegal activities, and we've called upon the ethnic Armenians living in Khankandi, who said that you are free to use this road for your personal use, for humanitarian use, but we will check, we will inspect the vehicles, because there is no trust that is left. I mean,
but as a citizen, do you have a right? Do you have a right to stop another citizen? Like, would you do that in Baku? Stop another citizen driving in a car and say, "I'm going to inspect your car because I want to make sure you're not misusing it." Like, let's say, because you're suspecting they're traveling with something that is illicit or illegal.
And this is Ishmael. His full name is Ishmael Jalilov, and Duzdanasak is the name of the YouTube page, right? Yeah, asking some great questions.
As a citizen, I have the right to stay on the road, which I fear is possessing threat for my security, and demand from my authorities to conduct the inspection.
So would you do that in Baku, let's say? If you see somebody, let's say, stealing something from a house and trying to drive away, would you stand on the road? What if they're not even suspected of stealing something? I mean, does it look like collective punishment to you? I mean, are we suspecting all Armenians in Karabakh that they're part of something illicit, or how do we determine whom do we stop?
This, I think, the matter with Karabakh, with Khankandi, and it's beyond suspicion. There are too many facts, there are too many cases that have been, of the road having been used for illegal activity, that this is beyond suspicion. And when trust is lost at such level, you have to come to such situations.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the misuse. Every time we talk about the landmines in, the people who die from landmines, not only civilians, but also the military, this seems to be a news.
And this is a pivot that is really, really, really interesting, right? So we have mines. And we have mining. Are these things related? Right? There are landmines that are being found in this area by Azerbaijanis that have not been planted by Azerbaijanis, as well as this issue with mining. So this person, Adnan Hussein, he has his hands in all of this, right? And the journalist is asking these questions, and he's answering the questions with as much fervor as he answered the ecological questions. And it is a part of the environment, and I understand that, you know. In fact, the name of his I forget what he said. It was Azerbaijan, but yeah, the idea that, there's restoration Azerbaijan, right? So, those two things fall under that umbrella. So I can respect that, but knowing him first as an eco-activist, and being, spending the first 20 minutes of the interview speaking about that, and then pivoting to mines and using the same language. It's the same language with different meanings. So this is a very this has a lot of layers to it that are not easily perceptible with just a general glance. And this is respectable in that sense.
To the other side of the conflict. The Armenians of Karabakh that I can communicate with on Twitter are denying any complicity. Armenians in Armenia are saying we're hearing it for the first time. What sort of, and Anama you mentioned, I would really, as an aside, I would really like to speak to the representatives of Anama in whatever language they're prepared to give an interview to a foreign audience, be it Russian or be it English, that's fine. But what kind of proof do we have? How would you stop the landmines? You know, how do you know? Let me ask you this: how do you know that the Russian peacekeepers in their big trucks are not transporting landmines? I'm not accusing them, but I'm just being a devil's advocate. They could bring a whole bunch of landmines in those trucks, in you know, containers marked food or medicine or whatever. You don't have X-ray vision. You don't know what's inside.
Well, we haven't known it before either, but as time passes, we did find new mines that were produced in 2021 in Armenia on the territory of Azerbaijan. So if this continues to happen, and right now we are here, so if we find more mines that are newly planted, well, we'll know that too.
There has not been an explosion of a landmine in a month since you've been blocking the road. Is that correct?
There has been.
There has been. So does it mean that the protest is not working, or what does it mean?
No, it means that it was a no, because not all mines, not the entire region is cleared of mines. It was not in Shusha. The entire region is heavily mined, and we've, if I'm not mistaken, it's expected to take about 10 years to get rid of those mines completely.
You know, it's been a month that you and some others. How long have you personally been there? I'm curious.
From the first day. I did go back to Baku one time for personal matters and came back, but I was here from the first day.
I apologize. I think you've mentioned that, and I sort of like asked it again. I'm curious, who is feeding you? Who is bringing you food? Do you pay for it yourself? What about others who are there? Are they being fed by somebody? Is it charity? Is it the government? Who is? Where do you sleep? I mean, who's paying for the hotels?
We have here the non-government organizations. We have the people who are participating here. The food is coming 3 times a day. There are snacks in between. And my understanding is that the organizations who are here, who are participating, they are taking care of it.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was distracted by a comment coming from an Armenian. Azeri terrorists will be in jail soon. Well, great. You know, I'm laughing at it.
You know, and as doublespeak, this concept of the NGO, I had to search really quickly, but I'm pretty, you know, I've known that for a while. And NGOs, they can receive funding from governments and still be called NGOs, right? So he's saying the NGOs are there. I mean, the government is in that. You know, if it was just an association, you wouldn't have to say it's a non-governmental association.
And so are you. And incidentally, let me tell the audience a story of how you and I met on Twitter. Somebody with an Armenian last name, apparently I believe an American Armenian, was attacking either you or me, and that's basically how we started communicating, which is very, you know, serendipitous, because I did find you and I did invite you here. So I'm very sad that I'm reading this kind of language, even on my channel. What sort of message does it send to you? You know, when those people are calling you, and I don't mean all Armenians by saying those people, the people that are attacking you, calling you a terrorist, what does it make you feel? Are you likely to stand there even longer? I'm just curious.
In all honesty, it makes me feel sorry for innocent Armenians that have to suffer because of such rhetoric of the Armenian diaspora, of Armenian extremists, of separatists. This actually, in the first place, does make me feel sorry for them, because it is people like them who are lying, who are falsificating the facts, who are bending all the truths. I mean, again, I told you earlier during our conversation now that I've been called funded journalist, which both I'm not. So you see sometimes people commenting on other people, and you know it's not true, but it's still not happening to you. But then it happens to you, you know, and you feel it on yourself. So yeah, it does, of course, irritate. Of course, it does get on your nerves when that happens constantly. And but these people and these comments, they should not matter, because this will not help us come to peace. These people are clearly
Exactly.
So I choose to stay focused on those who are ready for a peaceful dialogue, for at least a mutually respected dialogue. And I'm open to such cases if they do happen.
You see, you juxtapose yourself to people who are against peace, and you're saying you're for peace. But do you see the difficulty with which they would believe you? Because what they're saying, maybe not in very fortunate, maybe they're using unfortunate language, but what they're saying is what you're doing should be subject to an investigation by the international court. Do you really think you're doing something that is worthy of international court? I mean, if you're saying you're for peace, you're blocking the road for whatever reasons, and these people are saying that you're basically condemning the people of Karabakh, the ethnic Armenians, to starvation. Do you feel like you're doing something that should be considered by the international court?
No, I am 100% sure that everything that I'm doing, and not only me, but all the people who are here, are doing it in line with the law. We're not blocking the road. If we are saying that it is open upon inspection, this is not blocking the road. This is controlling the road. And again, controlling the road after having more than enough reasons to do so. And we've seen on a daily basis that both Russian peacekeeping forces and the International Red Cross Committee carry humanitarian aid. On the other hand, we also have seen many International Red Cross Committee vehicles carry Armenian families from Khan Kandi to Armenia. We've seen ambulances with Armenian plate number cross the road in both directions. So no, this is not a blockade. And I know what a blockade is. Every Azerbaijani knows what a blockade is. We've seen a blockade in 1992. We've seen it in Khojaly. That blockade ended tragically. So coming at us saying that this is a blockade, this is not something that can be tolerated by someone who knows what a blockade is and who's seen how it ended.
Okay. I'm sorry, my audience is trying to inject some levity, humor into this conversation. I just want to show the comment. I don't know whether they're joking or not. Thanks for misspelling my name, Mikhail Afsharov. There are only two of us, you and I, are trying to, be the agents for peace and for communication. What happens to the language? Can you communicate with Armenians without this vitriol? Do you think, with your experience, I'm new to Twitter, do you think with your experience of communicating, the language, the level, the crescendo, or whatever, the tone, is going up, going down? Is it remaining the same? Are you frustrated that 2 years after the war, there seems to be no movement ahead, and the language that both sides are using doesn't improve?
Well, there are different cases. I've seen both positive and negative cases on both sides. And let's evaluate both of the sides individually. On Azerbaijani side, I've seen more positive changes with less rhetoric of a faulty language. On Armenian side, unfortunately, that positive change is a lot less. It's a lot rarer that I see an Armenian trying to communicate without resorting to insults and all that,
Okay, I believe I have to invite Onik to host one of these programs together with me next time. He's asking another
No one can dispute the evidence. We heard the evidence. We saw the evidence.
Yeah, there it is. We have the evidence. No one can dispute the evidence. We have it, right? I think this is very interesting. It's a very interesting story. The back and forth. Psyops, super interesting. And yeah, let's go into some super pro-Islamic news. All right, let's check it out. Pakistan bans then unblocks Wikipedia amid digital freedom fight. Government's internet policy could have profound economic effects, experts say. This is Nakia Asia, and this is an article by Adnan Amir. Pakistan briefly sought to ban Wikipedia before intervention from the top activists, before intervention from the top. And by the top we mean the governmental figures in Pakistan. And I think it's really interesting here. I'm just gonna have two perspectives of this. One being that of the tech world in Pakistan, which is extremely strong. And when I do these searches, I just rank by date, the news articles, and there was a significant contingent of tech articles related to this, of course, because it's tech related. But the fact that those entities exist is really, I mean, it reflects the culture, you know. So, a short-lived ban on Wikipedia in Pakistan. I'll make this a bit bigger. Short-lived ban on Wikipedia in Pakistan has highlighted authorities' on-again, off-again efforts to restrict access to the internet, a habit that experts say undermines the country's nascent knowledge economy. Over the weekend, the Pakistan Telecommunication Authority, that is PTA, banned the crowdsourced encyclopedia for not removing content that was deemed sacrilegious. After digital rights activists and global watchdogs condemned the move, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on Monday night ordered the site to be unblocked. Despite the swift removal of the ban, activists see a troubling pattern on the part of Pakistani officials. Laghat Dad, executive director of the Digital Rights Foundation, said the ban stemmed from several repressive laws and unchecked practices by the PTA. It shows that our governments don't truly understand the internet and its potential, but rather see it as something to be controlled, she told Nikkei Asia. Azra Khan, an expert on digital democracy and innovation at the activist network Innovation for Change, said, media freedom in Pakistan has been deteriorating over the past decade. Unfortunately, populist leaders have themselves overseen concerted attempts to throttle the independence of the digital media in the country, he said. Wikipedia, which says its English language version receives more than 50 million views per month from Pakistan, is not the first high-profile site hit by the censors. YouTube was blocked in Pakistan from 2012 to 2016. According to Surfshark, a cybersecurity company focused on privacy, 12 internet disruptions have been recorded in Pakistan since 2015, most of which were related to protests or other types of political turmoil. Late last year, the authorities sought to restrict access to speeches by ousted Prime Minister Imran Khan and insisted on registration to use virtual private networks. That's really interesting. The brief Wikipedia blockage prompted a warning from the National Commission for Human Rights, which termed the site an essential part of the digital information landscape in Pakistan. The ban in it said violated citizens' right to access information. Or the ban it said violated citizens' right to access information. At a time when the digital media space is struggling to counter fake news, sources like Wikipedia are an important source of credible information due to its model of collaborative editing in which many users add to and check the facts of articles, said Asan Hamid Durrani, Senior Program Manager at Icarus, a public policy research and strategic communications firm. Yeah, let's read that again. At a time when the digital media space is struggling to counter fake news, sources like Wikipedia are an important source of credible information due to its model of collaborative editing in which many users add to and check the facts of articles. I would go along with that ideally, right? But then we have this concept of collaborative editing, right? Who regulates this? How collaborative is it, right? If you put something up and someone disagrees with you, can it be taken down? This is just like the Twitter argument, right? And depending upon that person's importance to the company, they may or may not have leverage to take that down, right? So this is the digital freedom we're talking about, right? Let's also, speaking of which, and you can go a little bit further here. I didn't look at this beforehand, but this is interesting that the Pakistan ex-Prime Minister Khan was feeling squeezed from TV, YouTube, and VPN curbs. Ousted leader says he faces blackout as some question his own record on censorship. This is an October article from Mifra Haq. Karachi, the feud between Pakistan's ruling establishment and former Prime Minister Imran Khan continues to snowball as the ousted leader accuses the government of trying to muzzle him with curbs on TV coverage, YouTube, and other online measures. Khan supporters and digital rights activists see a recent order to register to use virtual private networks as part of a growing pattern of censorship, the PTA, Pakistan Telecommunication Authority, has said. That's really interesting. Experts say the access curbs on sites like Wikipedia are not just an issue of free speech, but an economic one as well, right? Yeah, this is very interesting, right? Eco-technology, or economic techno-economy. Durrani contended that blocking such platforms hinders competition in the global digital marketplace. He compared Pakistan's approach to the unhindered digital policies of India, where the content creation industry is valued at $30 billion in 2023. I mean, Pakistan and India, what is the difference, really? You know? Well, we know the difference, but there are similarities as well. Dad, who is also a member of Facebook's Global Oversight Board, said Wikipedia is the starting point for content creators' research and queries. Students, researchers, freelancers, and common citizens turn to Wikipedia every day to understand the world around them. Depriving them of this access is huge economic loss, she said. Pakistan's telecommunications, computer, and information services exports stood at $1.33 billion in the first half of fiscal 2023, Provisional State Bank of Pakistan figures show, equivalent to around 7.5% of total exports. An important source of income in a country starved of foreign currency. Although Sharif stepped in to reverse the Wikipedia clampdown, Pakistan appears to be at a critical juncture when it comes to the digital world. Whether it chooses a path toward greater freedom or tighter repression could have profound implications for the future of the economy. Innovation for Changes, Khan argued that Pakistani policymakers don't understand the potential of the tech sector. They fail to grasp what creating the next Facebook or Google can do for the fragile economy of Pakistan. Interesting. This is Khan. His first name was again. Oh, that was Azrak Khan. Yeah. All right, let's not get it confused. There's Azrak, Imran was mentioned in between, and then Azran Khan was referred to again. Some acknowledge that the government may be walking a fine line in the country with a large conservative Muslim population, but Umar Nadeem, head of advisory at the Islamabad think tank Tabadlab, suggested that sensitive content should be handled more carefully rather than with blunt instruments like blanket bans. Regulators need to use sophisticated tools to handle violations surgically and develop a more robust engagement with platforms, he said.
Let's try and unpack that for a second. Let's try and de-emotionalize this for a second. Let's try and intellectualize this for a second. Let's try and rationalize this for a second.
So the acknowledgement that the government may be walking a fine line with these bans, right? And it's a large conservative Muslim population. That's important. That we can throw. I mean, Muslim is important, but you could substitute, other conservative countries. We just talked about Azerbaijan at length, and the Azeris that are 16% of Iran, being part of the government that is conservative and religious. But yeah, Umar Nadeem, the head of advisory at the Islamabad think tank Tabadlab, suggested that sensitive content should be handled more carefully rather than with a blunt instrument like blanket bans.